Welcome everyone to Track Guide for COTA. Could be a quiet week here. Circuit of the Americas normally is, but let's crack on with it. Right then, Circuit of the Americas. This isn't a very popular circuit for whatever reason. In F4s, in Super Formulas when that came out. I'm trying to think of another new car that came out. Generally, the numbers are a little bit lower, so fingers crossed they might stay a little bit higher with this, considering how popular it is. But yeah, this is the track guide for both a dry and wet session. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. COTA is the king of off-tracks. There are so many places where you can get a little off-track, and it could ruin your lap if you are on a qualifying time. So luckily, this track is a clean lap. There wasn't many in the session that I did because it is so frustrating understeering when you're on power and you think, yeah, the car's going to grip. You just understeer off into literally Narnia. So yeah, bear that in mind. And also, going through these S's, the yellow sausage curbs of unaliving. They are huge, they are massive, they are here. Do not touch them with any part of your car, otherwise you will take off and you will be flying home quite quickly. So please bear that in mind. Otherwise, on screen now is the two sessions that I use. I use fixed weather for this, just so you can see the weather stays the same for the entirety of the session. And also from a dry to a relatively good wet circuit, you can see the corresponding lines and you can make a decision yourself depending on the weather conditions of your circuit. Otherwise, this is the wet. The wet session is a completely different kettle of fish. It is very sketchy, and off tracks are even more readily available should you need them. The wet, I mean, through the S's you need to be tippy-toe. That's the only way I can explain it. Through the S's, very cautious, very delicate. Do not hit that curve around there down in the kink coming down to the hairpin. I will mention that again, but yeah, you need to be very gentle with the inputs, very delicate with the braking, and definitely remember to lower that brake bias as well. I normally run about 54, 53 in the wet, generally on all circuits, and then whatever stock, I normally just use the stock setup on that. So yeah, all done and dusted. Otherwise, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, OLAP, BLAP, telemetry, and replay file all on my Discord if you want to use there. If you want to have any questions that you want to ask me, join me on the Discord. That would be awesome. Otherwise, let's go with the lap. Right, we're crossing the line quite early, and we got a long old run up to turn one. Slipstream will definitely be a thing for this, so try and do the best you can, really. But we're looking for a white line that goes all the way across the circuit right there on pit exit. We kind of want to have a slight angle to the inside there, not too much because we don't want to lock a front tire, otherwise we go off to Narnia. Second gear for that one. You can clip that curb, but don't clip it too hard because it will push you wide, and be careful about an off track on the curbing there on the right hand side on exit. Flat out through this turn 2, I think it is, but keep it on the right hand side for the S's. Now this is going to be casual. Under the bridge, you want to clip this one after the yellow sausage curb. Big lift into this one. Be careful about the rotation as well, and then a bit of braking through this one. Don't go too deep because otherwise you'll sort of cut this and get an off track and a slowdown and maybe hit that yellow sausage curb. But try and maintain the speed all the way through here. Keep nice and close to that curb. You can cut that one a little bit, but try and get all the way over to the right hand side. Now, when you start seeing the corner just appear, then you want to dab a brakes. Use the momentum, just casually keep the car nice and neutral through that corner and you'll be fine. Get it back over to the left-hand side. At this point, we want to start braking for this very tricky corner. Do not cut this curb too much, but we want to stay as far right as we can. And then when you see the next corner, you want to really change the direction of car and apex after the yellow sausage curb. Be careful about running too far wide there as well. Another off track really hurts. Be careful of that kink as well, because guess what? There's another off track out there as well. Braking point is just after this line, probably about halfway between the two. Brake nice and heavy in a straight line, and then when it tells you to turn left on that big sign on the fence, start turning left. It is a blind apex. If you don't have triples, you can't see it on a single monitor, so just get your turning point right. It should be golden. Try and get on power nice and smooth, because this is going to be key for lap time. Accelerating out this massive long straight is going to be crucial to try and defend. This is going to be the massive overtaking. You probably get the double slipstream. Didn't test it in this session, but you probably get a double overtake through here as well. It's such a long straight. This is like normal racing speed that we're going through, and it still takes an age to get down here. At this line there, which is the 100 meter marker, sorry, braking again in a nice heavy straight line. Start feeding it off and turning in. First gear for this one. Really get that engine to brake for us and get the car rotated on apex, and be careful about running wide. There is an off track, and I think there's a slowdown if you do run too far wide. Bring the car over to the left-hand side of the circuit, and just as the grass disappears off your center monitor there, we want to brake and take it easy through here. Don't take too much speed through this one, because all you do is run out wide, and you want to get back on throttle to come through this sort of weird sort of right and left kink. Now, pay attention, because we're hunting for this little curb here. Just as we get to this point, we want to brake and let our car sort of drift out to the outside. Really slow the car down. This is a stupidly tight corner here. You can get an off track on the apex, and also you can get an off track on the exit as well. So be very cautious about that one. This quadruple, sorry, it's a quadruple apex right-hander, even though we don't worry about apexes around here because they're overrated. We want to give this curb a little cheeky tickle and try and keep full throttle the best we can. We're just trying to maintain the rear tyres, trying to minimize tyre wear, just keep it nice and smooth. It can go around there flat out on the fixed setup. Not sure about open, you might have to test it yourself, but you should be fine. Coming to the penultimate last corner, this corner is awesome. The sort of change in the fence there, that's our sort of breaking point for this one. You can take a little bit of the yellow sausage curb, but be careful about running wide. We don't want to do the IndyCar line through there where they go off into Narnia and they don't get an off track or anything. We will get an off track annoyingly way before this white line here because we're carrying so much speed into this little corner here. So we want to get it down, get it rotated after the yellow sausage curb again and again. Be careful of applying throttle. We need a good exit because it's a long, long drag up to turn 1. But that is us done and dusted. Onto the wet. Right then, completely different kettle of fish coming down here in the wet, and we are already, the S's are going to be fun, first of all, so bear that in mind. So what we're going to do is kind of go off the racing line. We want to be sort of mid-ish circuit, and we're kind of using the same braking point, but we're braking a little bit before it, so maybe a car or two length. Brake in a very, very straight line, nice and gently. Use the uphill gradient to really de-accelerate the car. First gear, try and get close to the apex, but don't give it a little cheeky tickle, because obviously the curbs are very dangerous in the wet. Try and apply the power nice and smoothly, and this turn 2 is not flat out in the wet. Big lift here, and even though I lift twice here, sort of thing, you see it on the trace there, I don't get anywhere near it because then I have to have another lift through here without going too wide there. So be careful about doing that. And we're kind of offline through these S's, but these S's are just about survival. So delicately does it, little bit of throttle in places just to keep some weight on the rear end, but you are tippy-toeing around here as best you can. You can feel the grip once tyres come up to a little bit of temperature. I understeer through this one deliberately because I want to get onto the grippy side around here because then it sort of throws me out wide on this corner as well, and I think that's going to be the easiest way through there. So on the third one, deliberately go deep because then it will make you go deep through this one and it makes life a lot easier. Again, same principle coming over the little crest when you start seeing the corner. This is where we want to apply the brake a little bit to reduce the speed. Miss the apex by a little bit because again we want to get on the dirty side of the circuit and get far on the left hand side here because we need to use the braking zone in the dirty tires. So we're using that grass patch over there. You take a wide entry and really slow the car down until you can get close to this curb. There's only sort of one line through here and you need to take the racing line because I don't see anywhere else through it. I do touch the curb a little bit there, but I'm getting most of my turning and rotation done actually after the apex, and I think that's how I've settled the car through there. Be careful of this kink. It's terrifying, it's dangerous, and you do spin if you do touch that curb, so stay miles away from it. It's horrendous, so please bear that in mind. Coming down to the hairpin now, again, middle of the circuit, and we're using that massive orange barrier bit over there, just as we sort of pretend to pass it as it goes off our screen. Brake and then go to the outside of the corner. Again, you're going so slow through here, you can probably get close to the apex, but just be careful about the little spins as it kicks you out here, and then apply the throttle nice and gently because we're going to be in first gear. It's going to be nice and slow. We want a good acceleration out of here because again we're trying to defend from slipstream, but you can't really defend this straight. It is humongously long, so just let it happen. Try and keep middle of the circuit because I think it's good practice for coming up for the braking zone here in a very heavy braking zone. To be honest, we're way before the 100-meter marker and we're going diagonally to the outside of the circuit. Again, nice and consistent on the brake pedal. Try not to lock a tire because you will disappear off. Again, it's slow enough that we can get close to the curb, but obviously don't touch it, and I get a lot of rotation on that, which is really nice because it keeps me off the sort of clean side of the circuit, keeps me on the dirty side where there's lots of grip. Again, kind of off-centered from the racing line here. Brake nice and gently through this one, and again we're going slow enough that we can aim for the curb, but obviously don't touch the curb, and then get most of the rotation done through the exit and on the through the apex and exit of the corner, and then through here you are dancing with the throttle. Do not touch any curbs, and just be careful about this partial throttle through here because the rear end will step out. End of the first curb this time, we're starting to think about brake for this corner. Again, brake in a nice delicate straight-ish line the best you can and really slow it down. This corner does become easier the slower you go, so I do get close to the puddles there, but again, be cautious, prepare for the snap oversteer and you'll be absolutely fine. Be careful of the exit curb because that's very dangerous as well. And this quadruple right-hander, go out off into Narnia, off the racing line, and try and survive. Look how much little throttle input I'm having. I'm just trying to balance the throttle all the way around to try and keep my speed as high as I can, but I'm tickling the steering all the way through, just trying to keep that rear end in check. Once you get around here, just avoid that curb on the exit here, and you can go through that puddle without too much issue. As this curb ends here on the left-hand side, we want to brake for our very last corner. We're doing a lot of braking through here because we can't take the curb. So we want to miss it because I hit it there annoyingly, get a little bit of understeer through there. So we want to try and miss it the best way we can and avoid the curb there because there's another annoying off-track. All the off-tracks are worse, but yeah, they're still there. Service road there on the right hand side. Brake nice and early, nice and gently. Again, we want to get a good exit out of this one. We can go slow enough that we can get on the racing line on the apex, but just get the braking done, get the car slowed down, get it rotated, and then get it out of the corner. Most of these corners are going to be like that, particularly the slow ones, and the S's is just a plain survival. So that is us done and dusted. Right then, so lap done and dusted, and I'm going to enjoy this in the dry. This week that I'm actually recording this, I believe both sessions are dry, so this wet session is for future reference. So please bear that in mind. I believe open and fix on the week and season that I'm actually recording this are both dry, so we shouldn't have any problems, but this will be off-track central. You will get a lot of 1Xs, so please bear that in mind for your safety rating with week 13 around the corner. Otherwise, have a good week, enjoy your racing, and yeah, fingers crossed, I'll catch you on the track.